Hi, can you hear me? This is
Oh.
me.
Uh-huh. Yay. She's
Can you
recording
hear
it.
me?
She is
Yes.
Oh,
recording.
right. And can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
Rosemary,
can
can you
hear
hear
you.
me?
I hear you
Okay,
just
I just-
perfect.
Perfect. So you won't see me, but you will hear me. I'm admitting everyone and sorry, everybody. I had a last minute Zoom disaster. But at least, so I've got you signed in. I saw that you started the meeting at 6:01.
Yes.
I am recording.
Okay, great.
And roll call. I'll do a roll call.
Okay, perfect.
Amy Elliott,
She's absent.
She's absent.
absent. Mark Burley,
Here,
Michael Adams,
Here,
Vice Chair Cannon,
Here.
and Chair Allison.
Here.
Great.
Okay.
Let me, one thing. Okay. I will share my screen for the, actually, hold on a second. Let me get the flag up for you.
For the flag. Okay.
Oh, you know what? So I think we're gonna have to do without the flag because
Okay.
it's a long story. I don't
If you
have the
all
flag.
would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Pledge
flag
allegiance to the flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
stands one
one
nation,
nation under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Okay. All right. Let's go through the agenda review, please.
Okay. Any changes?
No,
Okay. So who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I would like to make one small change to the minutes, even though I wasn't there. And
Sure.
hello.
Yes.
Okay,
can
go
hear you.
ahead.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't have the minutes up right now, but it was, at one
I
point
can
it says,
for
there was going to be a meeting of Santa Rosa Rides, and it should be Santa Rosa Valley Rides, and it
Oh,
should be
Riders.
Santa Rosa Valley Riders.
Yes, number 7.
Rides to riders. Okay.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll make that change. Thank you.
thank you, Mark.
You'll make that motion with that change?
Well, I don't think I should make the motion as I wasn't there, so somebody else should make the motion, but I'd like to make that change.
Kevin,
Ready? Oh, unmute.
Kevin
I'm
or
just gonna let you
Michael,
all-
either of you like
Yeah.
to make that motion, please?
I'd like to make the motion that we change the word rides to rider
Okay,
in the
Michael.
minutes
And approve the minutes
and approve the minutes
with that change.
with that change.
Okay, Kevin, would you like to second that, please?
I wasn't there, but I'll gladly second it if that's legal.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
all right.
I'll do a roll. Mark Burley,
Aye.
Michael Adams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cannon,
Aye.
Chair Allison.
Aye.
Thank you. So, public safety reports are next.
Okay, so let's go through the public safety reports right now. Who do we have here to speak today?
I
Ryan?
do have, yeah, I see.
Yes.
CHP officer.
Yes, how are we? Thank you for having me today. Again, Officer Ayers, Moore Park CHP office, the PIO over there. So a couple things that we have going on. I guess this would probably be best to start off with the traffic issue out there. The one thing that we had this since last meeting was a pretty bad accident, Santa Rosa and Andalusia. That was on the 8th. July 8th, about 2:30 in the morning. Solo driver was driving eastbound on Santa Rosa. Ended up saying he fell asleep, but ended up hitting a tree off the shoulder. Had some pretty major injuries, and we ended up arresting that person for DUI as well, for alcohol. But that is the only major traffic issue that we've had since the last meeting. So that's pretty good. I think that person was passing through, wasn't from the area either. So you know, it's one of those thoroughfares that people know about and try to take late at night when they're trying to skirt you know, law enforcement. So I just wanted to kind of, on that note, make sure that you know, the residents in the area, it's not there's no barriers between the two lanes, and late at night, you know, especially just be careful of people coming at you in the opposite direction. Make sure that you know, you're aware of what they're doing and how they're driving, because you never know how impaired they may be. It's not necessarily you're driving you to worry about the people around you sometimes. So some of the things that we have going on at the office, we just did an age well, drive smart class, which is geared towards our senior drivers, our older drivers, keeping them on the road, driving safer for longer. So that's something that we want to kind of bring to all of the areas that we service. Like I said, that was over in Simi Valley, but we are going to be offering that throughout the Ventura County here. So if you have someone, just keep that in mind, that we will be offering that class coming up pretty quickly here. We'll usually advertise that type of thing on our social media. We have the Facebook and the Instagram for CHP Moore Park that we advertise that with.
What does that
We
program
also-
entail?
So it has different tips, has different things. It's kind of like a really abbreviated, you know, a lot of times when we first get our license, you know, at 15, 16 years old, we go through our entire driving career and we don't have any sort of reminders of what's going on, how some of maybe the laws have changed, some of the laws that we may know about but just don't think about as being important or pertinent. So it kind of reminds the drivers of that. It also gives them ways to get from point A to point B, and either if they are not able to drive anymore, or they know someone that is not, it gives them options like ride shares, things, different apps like Uber and Lyft, and then different things locally within Ventura County that the county offers, and some other local area agencies offer to get them from point A to point B. But it is really just geared for them to the older, like 65 and above age group, to continue driving safely. So
We're getting up
we
in age.
well, aren't we all? And it's something that, like I said, it's something that we don't usually talk about or, you know, think about until something comes up, and then sometimes when that comes up, it could be too late. So we want to just kind of remind people as we move forward with our driving career, ways to do that safely.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, like I said, if we're going to be bringing that throughout the area, so we'll make sure that we have something near Santa Rosa area.
Thank you.
We're also going to be doing the National Night Out, which is, if you're not familiar, it's a way for first responders, mainly law enforcement, to get engaged with the public. It's going to be we're going to be partnering with Simi Valley Police Department. The Canal Scale facility is going to be out there with us. Ventura CHP is going to be out there with us, and we're just going to kind of put on a fun little, you know, interaction with law enforcement in a non-threatening manner. We're not knocking on your window or your door like you know most contacts are. We're at a crash or whatever the case may be. So it's just kind of a fun, friendly night, and you know, get the kids out there, get the family out there. And I believe this one is going from about 6 to 9, if I'm not mistaken. So, but we're going to be advertising that on our social media as well, coming up here this week. So look for that. We also are kind of excited about this. We're doing a toy drive with, we partnered with Newbury Park Girls Softball to It's a Christmas in July for the pediatric oncology unit at Ventura County Medical Center. These kids are in there for these long extended amounts of time, and they have nothing else to do but play with these toys while they're getting their treatments or chemo, whatever the case may be. So we're doing this Christmas in July to get these toys over to them and hopefully put a little smile on their face. So that's something that the community has already gotten behind, but can still get behind. It's going through the end of this week. We actually dropped the toys off over there on Monday. So that's going to be pretty exciting to meet and hang out with some of those kids for a little bit. So hopefully put a smile on their face. The CHP is doing a big recruitment effort right now. We just have a brand new slogan, a new campaign of Join the CHP 1000. That campaign is coming up with a lot of new ideas and ways to recruit. And, law enforcement across the nation is really struggling with numbers as far as officers and maintaining those officers. And law enforcement is one of those things, no matter how you feel about it, as a nation, we always need it. So we need to get those numbers back up with quality, applicants. So we have some websites, we have some things that we always post on our social media. So if you know someone or have someone in mind that you think would be a good candidate for law enforcement, we definitely would like them to, reach out. They can always call me directly at the office, the Moore Park office, and I would be happy to talk with them and walk them through the process. So I think one last thing, just as far as a safety message from the CHP, since COVID, and it's always been around, but since COVID, we've seen the uptick, and it's not even an uptick; it's a spike in road rage incidents. Since 2019, statewide, the CHP has responded to over 1,080 road rage incidents, and I think it's a huge number. And that's only including the ones that we've able to know about, right? So there's tons that we see on a daily basis that just go unreported. So we just want to remind people, you're going to have people out there that want to get by you, get around you, do whatever, because it's their road, right? We're just on there, going through our daily lives. We don't want to inconvenience them, like heaven forbid, right? So just don't engage with that. If you need to move over to let them pass, if you need to slow down so they're not right next to you, whatever the case may be, or if they're just continuing to try to engage with you, call 911. Be a good witness for us. Get a license plate, get a vehicle description. Let us come out there and help try to find this and stop this behavior, just because it's putting everyone around them in danger. So we want to get those numbers down. Between 2000 and 2001, we've seen the largest increase in those numbers for road rage incidents, and we definitely want to diminish those numbers. So, like I said, don't engage, but be a good witness for us. Call 911 when you see something, even if you don't think that, or maybe you think that incident is over. Get us a license plate so that we at least have someone to contact if something happens later on. We've had near Rocky Peak earlier this year, we had a freeway shooting. Luckily, no one was injured in that, but it was a pretty big deal. We had another incident on the Collins off ramp over there by Moore Park College, where two cars ended up stopping. One guy got out. The second guy ran the first one over. He ended up being okay, but things like this are happening all over the place, and we just want to remind you, don't engage. It's always better to be the bigger person and just let someone, have that courtesy and just let them go, do whatever they need to do and carry on with their life, because you don't want them to put their influence into your life in that negative way. So but I think that's all that I really have actually I had one other thing that I wanted to talk about, just because we are always kind of in that perpetual fire season in California, and we recently started rolling out new vehicles for the highway patrol that include an audible siren that has someone speaking to you. Instead of an officer coming through just with their lights and siren trying to evacuate people, This is a evacuation warning that someone's speaking to you in both English and Spanish. So being in Santa Rosa, you obviously know the fire danger out there is high. And there's one way in and one way out on both ends, right? So it's kind of like one of those bottleneck areas. If you hear this warning come through your neighborhood to evacuate, I just want you to be aware that's what it is. On our next meeting, I'm going to try to get a recording of that so you can hear what it sounds like. So you're not, hearing it for the first time when it's an actual emergency. So hopefully next meeting I'll have that for you guys. But other than that, if that's all I have. If you guys have any questions actually, I do have one more update. And this has been like an ongoing thing. I apologize for the, I was trying to save it for last. So we had a traffic complaint. It was actually a noisy vehicle. It was a noise complaint out in Santa Rosa off of Rose Lane. And this came to us from you guys, the community, on multiple fronts. And we have spent hours out there with this complaint. Now, just some backstory on this or on our response to this. Most of what we do as law enforcement, we have to see to take action on it. Like we can speak with someone about it, but if you wanted to have any teeth, you have to actually see this. So I sat out in front of this person's house in the morning for hours, on days on end, all different days of the week. Lieutenant Key, our commander over at Moore Park, he had been out there. He commutes through there, so he would go there early in the morning as well. Finally, 2 weeks ago, we were able to make an enforcement stop on this person and his vehicle, and we did a vehicle inspection, and we were able to put that vehicle out of service. So he's going to have to go take that to the state bar and get that certified that it's no longer has modified and loud exhaust. So I'm hoping late at night when you hear those vehicles, it's one less on the road for you guys out in that Santa Rosa Valley. So anyway, with that, we felt it was kind of a big win with all the time and effort we were putting into that, and hopefully you hear the difference. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Ayers. I know you've been working hard on that.
Yeah. No, it was something that just kept on getting drug out just because we needed to see him driving. So we finally did. With that, what do you guys have for me?
Thank you so much for the efforts you did on that. We really do appreciate that. And thank you for your complete report. And, I'd like to know, well, like the Christmas in July, as well as the senior thing, I hadn't seen any information on that. I don't know if it goes out on social media or what, but, we would like to be able to promote that to our residents. So number one, we could help you with the Christmas in July, or, like the senior event coming up regarding driving, if we could get some sort of notice that we can put out in our social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So our social media platforms, we have Instagram, Facebook, and then usually for traffic related incidents, I save Twitter for that. But we do have all three of those platforms. So if one or all of you or whoever would like to follow that, we put that stuff out quite a bit. And the Christmas in July, we did a couple different stories and posts on that. We've had a really good turnout from the community, and the Age Well Drive Smart program was kind of an isolated. This was our first one in a long time. They revamped the program, and so this was the first one we were kind of doing a test run over at the Simi Valley Senior Center. So they did the advertising for that. But now that I have some photos and things from that, I will be doing a post on that and advertising upcoming events. So really our social media is going to be the best avenue to kind of follow what we're going to be doing. All of our upcoming events that may affect you guys will be on those. So I mean, also it gives you a platform to ask questions.
Your Instagram, it's like
California Highway Patrol. Yeah, we're at CHP Moore Park.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So both CHP Moore Park for both Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Okay, I'm gonna start following you right now.
Perfect.
Just one quick question.
Yes.
From the minutes, I noticed there was a question about the solar camera near Barron Brothers, and you guys were going to look into that. Like, what is that camera doing there? It's unmarked.
I wasn't involved with that. Remind me of what you're talking about. Is it a video or we're not sure?
We did get that information. Denise has that.
I did. It was a CHP got it to us, and I thought I'd sent it out. Let me find it. I'll get right back to you.
The bottom line, it was one of their cameras, right?
Yeah. I want to say it was,
What is
I think
Ventura
that-
County
no, it was-
Sheriff?
Yeah, it was the Ventura
So,
Sheriff at the Camarillo station.
right.
yeah, there is a Ventura County Sheriff camera out there. If that's the one, where is it? You said by Barron Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the one that you're talking about. That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah. I think it's right outside the city limit.
Right. Yeah, I believe that's the Ventura County Sheriff.
Okay, and that's just, if there's an incident, then they have that recording to be able to review what cars went by or.
I'm
How's
not
that
sure the
work?
capabilities of that. Yeah, I'm not sure of the capabilities of that. I can find out for you though, and we can report back on that.
Maybe it's better we don't know.
Sometimes,
Yeah, it
sometimes.
was confirmed. Yeah, I sent this out back in May. The flock camera near Barron Brothers was confirmed to belong to the sheriff's office.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right. Ryan, thank you so much. And now I think we're going to turn it over to Heather.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Sorry I was a little late, but
I'm
Ryan
sorry.
had information there.
Hi.
Some good news since our last meeting. We do have a new northbound scale. I thought I was going to be getting an email from Caltrans today saying, let the trucks roll over it. Today was the 28th day since they poured the cement footings on it. And so I talked to the engineer this morning and she was just waiting for the lab to get that sample back. So she said it's going to be any day. So I have Caltrans all set up to come and sweep the lane that hasn't been used in over a year, and we are ready to go. So that's really good news because the scale has been broken since March of 21. So we'll have that going. We also have our construction that I've been talking about for months and months. It's actually going to be starting August 1st. Well, first week of August. So again, I'm waiting for the shovel to go into the ground, but we're going to be starting on southbound. So you will notice at the beginning of August that the signs heading southbound will say truck scales closed, and there will not be trucks going into the scale on southbound. That's a smaller project, should be done within a month and a half to 2. And then that will reopen, and then we move over to the northbound side, and the northbound side will be closed. That is a huge project. We're taking basically all the pavement out of that facility and putting new stuff back in. The heavy trucks that have been rolling through there since 1974 have done a number, and they've patched it as much as they can. So that's why all of that pavement is coming out, and they're putting new stuff in, and then making ADA compliant areas for the public. So finally happening, it's real. The contractor has been out and has been taking samples. They were just out on Tuesday. So it's going forward. And I just wanted to piggyback on the recruitment message that Officer Ayers put out. We also have opportunities for non-uniformed civilian employees, and we will be testing. Actually, the announcement will be going out in September. If you guys know any mechanically inclined people that would, diesel mechanics, awesome, but any kind of mechanic, if they're looking for something different, they're tired of turning a wrench, but would like to inspect commercial vehicles and help us keep the commercial vehicles safe, we will be testing towards the end of the year. So they can apply in September, and then the testing will be probably October-ish. And then they will go through a full background investigation, that type of thing. But it's a great job, full-time, benefits, pension, age to apply is 18, and there's no cap in terms of, I mean, you could be 50, 60 years old and apply for this job. So there's no age cap on this. So spread the word if you do know of anybody that, you know, enjoys mechanical things and is good with mechanical, you know, engines and brakes and hydraulics and that type of thing. We need these people. We'll have five openings by the end of the year. So we do need people.
And then they can go anywhere throughout the state.
Yeah, you could go to any commercial vehicle inspection facility. Once you're in and you have your year of probation, you've completed your year of probation, we have scale facilities all throughout the state. And while I would hate to lose anybody, if it was in their best interest for their family or what have you, you know, they could move up north, they could go down south, they could go inland. We have a big facility out actually near Las Vegas, county line, what's called Mountain Pass. And we have a lot of guys working out that way too. So a lot of different opportunities would be available if anybody's interested.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck with that search.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other public safety reports?
I believe Heather Holden, Deputy Claudia Holden is available.
Hi there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm not in uniform. It's my day off, and I'm actually at the high school with cross country practice. So, excuse me. And you know, to piggyback on the CHP, Sheriff's Department is also hiring. So, if you guys they prefer to do sheriffs versus CHP, not to take away from the CHP, but we're also hiring.
Okay.
I just have a couple quick things. I know just so you guys know that Trailhead is still getting hit by vehicle theft. When I say vehicle theft, it's different than vehicle burglaries. Vehicle theft is when someone leaves their car unlocked and someone goes in and takes something, right? So that's a vehicle theft. If somebody breaks your window and uses some kind of force to get in to take your items, then that's a vehicle burglary. So we've actually been getting hit at the Trailhead quite a bit for both vehicle theft and vehicle burglary. So just remind anybody that goes out there to hike to make sure that they lock their doors and not leave valuables where people can see them, like laptops in the front passenger seat or purses in the floorboard of the front passenger seat, things like that, because that obviously attracts people to break your window. So that's the only thing that we see a spike, but we see that every summer. There's a lot of people out there hiking early morning and early evening. So, I mean, unfortunately, that happens with summer. I did notice I write my reports there. I'll park my car and I'll write my reports there just to deter any kind of criminal activity. I did notice that signs have been put up reminding people to lock up their valuables or not leave their valuables out in the car. So just a reminder. For Rosemary, I did look into that RV park on Reed Road.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that is actually Thousand Oaks. It's part of City of Thousand Oaks, and I've reached out to their code enforcement. Code enforcement has gone out there and they are working with the owner or trying to figure out if there's an issue. So even though it's not our area, the code enforcement officer from Thousand Oaks said he'd call me and update me on what's going on with that property. And I know, I'm sure I'm going to get calls or questions about it, but on Reed Road, again, that's Thousand Oaks, considered City of Thousand Oaks, but there is a new Newport facility there that just started up. So we'll probably be questions about that. Code enforcement also knows about that facility. So they will be checking to make sure that they're in compliance with all of their permits.
Yes. We actually have another one opening up in Santa Rosa Valley. And it's in my neighborhood.
And
where's
we
that
have one
one?
in, we have one in Hidden Meadows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2269 Applewood.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and is that one in Newport as well?
yes, it is. It's not closing escrow till August 4th.
But
Okay.
the one in Hidden Valley is already in existence, and it's a Newport.
Right, and that address is 2565 Alhambra. I just happen to know
Okay.
these all by heart.
Yeah, I'm just curious if it's Newport because, again, when I worked
It
in
is,
Cam.
they're all Newport.
They're all Newport.
I 100%,
Okay,
I
yeah.
can tell you, I've seen the documents. They're all Newport.
Okay. Yeah, in Camarillo, when I worked there, there were other treatment facilities that weren't Newport. So I was just curious, but
There are
I'll look
4
into that
also,
one.
there are 4 also in Camarillo. If I had your
Newport?
email, I can send you, if I have your email address, I can send you the list of all the properties they own.
Yeah, absolutely. My email is my first name, Claudia.Holden, my last name, and it's @ventura.org. So Claudia.Holden@ventura.org. Anybody is welcome. You can put that out to your residents, and if anyone has a concern, you're welcome to email me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, very much.
I have a question.
No problem.
Thank you.
I have a question for Deputy Holden. We had an incident in Hidden Meadows. This was in March. I wasn't at the last meeting, where somebody came and stole a package from outside somebody's house. This was all recorded on video. And then we have a video also at the gate at Hidden Meadows. And we were able to find video of where that person had gone into Hidden Meadows, and including being able to read the license plate. The victim of the crime spoke to somebody at the Moore Park police station or sheriff's station, and I'm not sure that he understood it exactly right, but he was under the impression that that they told him that if it's under $1,000, don't even bother. I'd just like to understand whether that is in fact the case, or if you have a case where you have a video of the person committing the crime and you have identification of who that person is due to their vehicle and their license plate. Can I forward all that information to you, and would the Sheriff's Department actually investigate?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and send that to me. We're still going to take a report whether it's under $100. It's a petty theft versus like a grand theft, right? So it's a
Apparently,
misdemeanor.
$500 worth of items were stolen.
Yeah, unfortunately, California, it's now up to $950. So if they steal $949, it's a misdemeanor, right? So it's considered a misdemeanor. Send me all that information. If you get a hold of the victim, they might have given him a report number or an incident number. You can attach that as well, and I'll look into what has been done or if anything was done.
I think he was. I will send all that information, and I will include him on the email. But I think he was sort of a bit either misunderstood or taken aback, and so
Okay.
I'm not sure there's even an incident report. So, but maybe now is the time to create one.
Yeah, anytime. So just so anyone knows, anytime a deputy responds to anyone's house for a call, there is an incident number generated. Whether we take a report or we don't, there's an incident report automatically generated, and then we as deputies will put just put something in there, a sentence or two on how the call was cleared, like dog was still barking, unable to contact the owner. So then I could look up that incident number and see what happened or how that deputy cleared that call. So if they didn't give it to him, then you could just provide me his address. I might be able to look it up that way, and we'll see how what happened during that call.
I get the impression that the victim sort of failed to go through with the whole thing. But anyway, I will get you all the information and get you his information, and I appreciate your looking into this for us.
Yeah, please do. And then again, like, even if you have a package theft, I would prefer that you guys do go through with it, because I don't want my Amazon packages stolen. And you know, if they're doing it at your house, they're going to come to mine and steal my Amazon packages. So I would rather try to find and catch them so they don't steal packages. I mean, we all work, right? So that's where they are. They're there in front of our door all day for people like this to steal them. Also, going back to that flock camera, yeah, it is the sheriff's department. It belongs to the Camarillo Police Department. I mean, it belongs to the sheriff's department, but it's assigned to the Camarillo Police Department. And just so you guys know, typically we'll put up cameras like that, like license plate readers, flock cameras, to try to get, especially if we're getting, Camarillo might have had a spike on residential burglary. And so they'll put up those cameras and they'll try to look at different license plates that maybe are out of the area that came in during the time frame of the burglary. We sometimes put them up if we're getting a lot of burglary, like the trailhead. I was talking to the captain. We might be putting one up there because, again, those are on the rise. So those are the reasons why the camera up, is if there's or crime that we're trying to solve, or if there's an
Zoom meeting only. How about that? Back meeting was going to be at the clubhouse.
Sorry. I muted him.
Does anybody have anything else for me?
No, thank you.
I did.
Well, wait. Michael.
Thank you. Which trailhead are we referring to that's having all the burglary problems?
Hill Canyon.
Hill Canyon, okay.
From the Santa Rosa side or the Thousand Oaks side?
Well, I'm only in charge of Santa Rosa side, so I don't know if Thousand Oaks. I could look into that as well, because I mean, during the summer there's a lot of this on all the trailheads, but since I'm in charge of Santa Rosa Valley for criminal investigations, and that's my area, so I focus on Hill Canyon.
And how often are the burglaries? Like every couple weeks or?
You know what, sometimes it could be 3 in 1 week. It could be, and then it'll stop for a little bit, and then we'll have 2 in a day. It really varies. So another thing, if you guys have hikers, residents that like to go hike out there, basically things suspicious activity, please call in.
Yeah, thank you.
Since Officer Ayers, you're still on, could I get your email address contact? I need to send you something.
Yeah, it's R and then my last name, AYERS @chp.ca for California.gov for government.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that concludes our
I do have one thing, if I can.
Okay.
To Deputy Holden, I just want to congratulate you. I hear that you're going to be promoted next month. Is that right?
That is, thank you so much. I just found out yesterday.
Very exciting.
I hope that doesn't mean we're losing her.
Maybe for a little bit.
Bigger and better things, right?
I'm actually, when we get promoted in the sheriff's department, we go back to the jail. But again, Moore Park has always been my home, so I will come back hopefully soon as a senior deputy.
All right.
Congratulations.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our information from our public safety.
Yeah, I was waiting to see.
Okay, from our public.
The Petersons need to mute, right?
Remind everyone, please, to stay muted if you're not speaking. That way we don't get background noise. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public safety reports. Thank you all for joining us. So,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Have a good.
okay. Now Supervisor Parks.
Thank you. And I also want to extend my thank you to Officer Ayers for the work that he's doing outside of the job of CHP, but also helping children in our oncology unit at the county medical center. It's wonderful to see that too. Items to update you on. Some good news. We have the probation agencies going to come out and do a road cleanup again on Santa Rosa Road. That's going to be August 6th and 7th. So I'm glad to see that. It's probably good timing anytime. I know that I think Kevin Cannon had asked about the flashing beacons at for schools. They do turn them off for schools for summer break. So that's what will be going on there. And then they turn them back on again once school gets up and going. I also had a constituent contact our office regarding a very large drain that didn't have a top on it. You know, it was about that big over on near the trail on, let's see.
Pinos, I think.
Redondo and Los Pinos, huh?
Yeah.
But it was a lot of difficulty trying to figure out if it's whose drain it is, but it was definitely a safety concern because it was so large and on the ground there, and something or someone or some animal could fall in it. So because it was complicated, because, you know, whose drain is it, and is it private property, which they determined it was, and all that, but pushed them, and they understood the urgency of it and were able to go out there and cover it up, I think probably within 24 hours or so of my asking. So that was great to see our transportation department move so fast when it was needed. I know that we've had discussions about accessory dwelling units. I know also that Santa Rosa Valley is unlike all others, including because of accessory dwelling units, and that is that you have a limited size. And I would imagine that that was determined based on a worst case scenario if everyone had them, and, you know, what the impact would be to the nitrates and the groundwater and all of that. But be that as it may, we are expecting to have more information coming from our building and safety department on that. We'll be looking at that to see how they will apply new regulations to Santa Rosa Valley. Countywide, we have, I got the Board of Supervisors to make a small change to our county's mission statement. We put together the mission statement with principles and goals and all of that quite some time ago, and it didn't have any mention of climate change or the need to have environmentally sustainable measures. So I was able to just kind of add that in there with the unanimous support of the Board of Supervisors. So that was good. And as you know, I was able to help the county change its county seal. So we have a new, very beautiful seal created by a graphic artist that the community all voted and picked their preference, and that's the one our Board of Supervisors selected. And now I'm looking at having a county flag using that same design of the seal. So that will be quite beautiful. That's going to be at our Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, the 26th. And if that gets approved, maybe the MAC can have a flag of our county seal also. I also had pins made. We made several, bought several from the county, so our MAC members can have them too. So we'll be getting you, oh, look, Kevin's all excited. We're going to get a pin. So we're going to get you all pins. So that's nice to see. And then just some, I think, very positive news in the fact that we've got such, tremendous potential for wildfires in our area. We have both the Oak Park area put together a new fire safe council, which is great. I was so surprised how quickly they did it. And then we have a fire safe council I helped start in Ventura Park, and they came together. We had a meeting for them in Ventura Park at the Stagecoach Museum, and we're going to be looking at some measures there to restrict parking on high red flag days, they're called, when fire is the most has the greatest potential. And the reason why we're doing it there is because they have very narrow windy streets, and it's impossible for fire engines to get up if cars are parked along those streets. And then add to that, people may want to evacuate. So that is a measure that we're working with the community, taking surveys, making sure they are good with that. And then the wonderful CHP has offered to help enforce. And that's something I've been working on for a while too. So getting all those boxes checked as I'm leaving. So that was another one. So I'm glad to see that moving forward. And that pretty much concludes my comments. Available for questions.
Can I add one thing, Supervisor Parks? Just regarding the flashing lights for Kevin, you had asked about that. There's a new school bell schedule this year. I don't know if my son goes there. So just so you know, they're actually programming the new flashing lights to that new school bell schedule. So, and that, if you are interested in what it is on their school's website, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I brought it to your attention because I was familiar in the past that transportation, I was surprised they really take care in looking at the school schedule, which days they're going to be in session and which days they aren't, because some of them, they're not holidays, they have a teacher's day or something. So they take that school schedule and they program it into the flashing lights. And so what I noticed that day I reported it to you was that there was no school in session and the thing was flashing. I'm like, oh, that's weird. They didn't program it. So I understand they're in the process of programming it. It sounds like there's a new bell schedule, but also I'd like them to continue customizing to the days off, the entire days off, to make sure it's not flashing then as well. It seems like that was.
That's what they're doing. I guess it's just, I don't know what happened, but they've reprogrammed it.
Okay, cool. I did have something, Linda Parks, I'm very interested in the Fire Safe Council and happy to hear it's easy to set up. Is there any notion we need one here in Santa Rosa Valley, and how would we go about that?
You know, there is a great resource, which is the Regional Ventura Fire Safe Council. And they were actually partially responsible for the mailing to residents, one of the two that we did out in Ventura Park, to get them to come to the meeting. And it sounds like it's easy. I don't know if something's been made easier, and if so, I'm sure they have a large part to do with it. But one thing about fire safe councils they are nonprofits. So I think in Ventura Park, they had a boost in the fact that they have a community foundation for Oak Park, and they have nonprofit status already. So they may have used that. Is that right, Denise? Do you recall?
Yeah, that's exactly why it moved a little faster. They had that community foundation.
So that's usually the holdup. It took Ventura Park probably a couple of years because it's volunteers submitting the forms and waiting and all of that. I think also if you had an attorney that wanted to be on top of it, you probably could get it faster that way too. But it is helpful, and the benefits that you receive from it are the fact that you can get grants and things like free chipping days. I think that's always a really neat one. And sometimes the chippers will come right to your house, and you can take all your brush that you've cut and cleared and chip it right there. And then you can also have the mulch. And so there's a lot of benefits. I've seen some really good programs put together with grants that fire safe councils have received, including emergency preparedness grants too, in terms of putting together an emergency plan. It's wonderful you've already got that CERT trailer, but the idea that could also be incorporated in your emergency plan so people know about it, and we got the keys and we know where the keys are and the keys work, those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the key is to have the volunteers, step up to be involved, like the MAC volunteers we have online today, but we need a whole new set of people maybe. So anyway, thank you.
Just a thought, Kevin, when we did this survey, there were a lot of people who were interested in joining CERT, but also just volunteering in general. And I have that list still, so it would be worth,
There is actually, I've been sending out, there's some training for CERT, and I've been sending out, but I need the list that you have of those names, which I didn't get.
I can send that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good discussion.
Yeah, and actually I could go on because there's something I wanted to bring up when it's council comments regarding fire. I don't know where we're at on the agenda, but I could do it now.
Okay, well, we've just finished with comments of Ventura County Supervisor Parks. Now we're going to council comments on issues not on the agenda.
Hey,
Would you like to start that, Kevin?
yeah, so Venice emailed me, or I'm aware of this Ventura County Wildfire Collaborative. And because I'm on the board of the RCD, we have a gentleman, Andy, he's presented before, but he is really big on this collaborative. And they sent out an invite. It's going to be a wildfire town hall regional meeting. And what they want to do is roll out a bunch of town hall meetings. But before they do that, they want to meet with city reps and MAC reps to get our ideas of how do we think a presentation, what would go over for our community, like what would you want to be discussed at the town hall. And it ranges from, you know, how home hardening to, you know, setting up a fire safe council, or so, and fire safe councils are part of this collaborative as well. So they're represented, and I am going to that meeting. It's an in-person meeting out at the training facility of all the fire stuff out in Camarillo there by the airport. So just wanted to report that I'm sort of dipping my toe, even though I don't have enough time for it to.
I know, Kevin, can we ask you to be like in charge of Fire Safe Council and this area?
Well, since Linda's not here and without not in earshot, I could say I'll try. But
Well,
as I said,
this is very near and dear to your heart. And right now, that is an issue that is facing Ventura County, and particularly our area, as our fire insurance, we're getting dropped and the prices are exorbitant. So the fire hardening, I mean, with every transaction that I do, there's a fire hardening report that has to be done. And I'm contacting the fire department to get that done in every home that's sold. So I think it's important that we do start these things. And I think that people don't understand things like, you know, just our normal people use chips in decorating around their properties. Well, that's no longer supposed to be used at all. And yet people still can go to the gardening store and buy them to put all around their gardens. So
well, there's rules that are coming next year, like nothing within 5 feet of the perimeter of your house, so that chips wouldn't be allowed there, but chips beyond 5 feet are probably still allowed. But clarifying those rules that change year to year now with every clearance notice we get. I mean, I have mulch piles outside my house within 100 feet for years, right above my house, and the fire department told me to get rid of them this time, and I'm like, in 6 days, okay. So I'm impacted. I got my insurance canceled. I just paid my renewal and it was just ungodly expensive, and I don't even have good insurance with it. So that's why I'm sort of, you know, for personal reasons.
I went from 3,500 to 9,000.
Pardon?
My insurance rate went from 3,500 a year to 9,000.
Mine's 20 grand with all my shit.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh
I've got a little farm on my property, which,
yeah,
at any rate, you know, and there's this other thing beyond fire safe councils that you can get a designation of a fire safe community. And that is
Firewise.
Firewise,
Yeah.
right. And so I
Firewise.
want to explore that option, because that might be something the insurance companies that do want to write for us will give us a credit if we have a Firewise community organization or rules that we follow as a community. But that's a long goal, I think. Just having a fire safe council involvement would be great to start with. So anyway.
So as I understand it, one of the things we need for a fire safe council is to have a 501c3, is that correct?
Yeah.
And we have one of those that's sort of asleep. Rosemary?
Is it?
no, it closed. It was
It's
closed. Well, we closed it.
Community
officially.
Association is closed down?
Santa Rosa Valley Community Association closed about 4 years ago. We actually legally closed it.
Okay, I thought I knew you were having some difficulties closing it. but no, no.
Could we use Santa
we had
Rosa
to,
Valley
because
Trails
otherwise-
Inc.? Santa
I
Rosa
would,
Valley
like- I
Trails
would-
Inc.
I would not like to confuse those two issues. However, I mean, it's not that difficult. You just have to, you know, it takes a couple of years and you apply, and I mean, you can form the corporation in no time. It's just a question of getting the IRS certification takes a time, but I think that you also get like a sort of like a waiver and while it's coming. I don't recall it being that particularly difficult. I mean, I did it and I'm not a lawyer. So, you know.
Hey, you
So-
did it once, you could do it again.
Yes. But I mean, you know, if we can get somebody who's a lawyer to help us move it along, it's just a question of doing the paperwork.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I had.
I did have a question about the 5-foot clearance. The fire department came by and they said in 2024, we have to have a 5-foot clearance of any combustible material, shrubs, that sort of thing. Is that when you sell your house, or is that going to be
Right
for
now,
everybody?
it's not in 2024. It is right now. I've had to have
Oh.
clients remove tree limbs because they were within 5 feet of their roof line. So that is current. That is not in 2024. When you sell your house and you're in a very high fire zone,
Yeah.
the fire department comes to do a report at your property. And I had a house in Thousand Oaks. The problem was it was a trustee sale. And unfortunately, nobody who was a real owner got the notices. The Ventura County Fire Department came in, removed trees, and sent a bill of $12,000 to the bank that owned the property. So, and that will happen.
But that's on a sale, right? That's not
That
just
is, if
you
the
living in
property is
your
being
house.
sold, yes, that is a requirement.
But I'm wondering
Yeah.
about if you're just occupying your property.
No,
Is there?
That
What I
might
was
be
told-
what's 20,024.
No,
I just don't-
Michael, what I was told by a fire department, I mean, he was the guy in charge of the wildfire clearance ordinance
Larry
inspections.
Williams?
I
Larry
didn't get
Williams?
his badge. I didn't get his badge, but he was looking at a mulch pile up the street, asking me about it. And he said, pretty sure he told me it's coming down next year, like 2023 fire clearance. They'll be looking for existing homes to have the 5 feet in place. That's what Linda's nodding her head. So it's not 2024, and from what my understanding. But the other thing, Rosemary, is what you're talking about. That report basically says your house is hardened.
It's
And that's where pardon?
It's called
Yeah,
compliant. And anybody
Right,
can go onto the Ventura County Fire Department, go to SB 38, and you can order it on your house now. You don't have to be an escrow. I
Yeah, but
ordered it on
what
my
I'm
house.
just saying is, if you go to these seminars of how to harden your home, you're doing that to match that inspection, so you could pass that form. And there's 3 zones: 0, 1, and 2, and it's 0, 5 feet, 5 feet to 100, and then something beyond 100. So those are those zones that have specific rules. And California, as a state, is trying to standardize those rules. So the whole state, the county's trying to follow what the state is heading towards, and we're kind of keeping pace with it year by year with the clearance codes that we have.
Go to Ventura County Fire Department, to their website, and go under SB 38, and you'll see it right there. It'll tell you all the rules, everything that you need. And it'll also give you the opportunity to order an inspection on your home.
Okay, all right, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have some shrubbery around my house. It's right up against the house, and wondering if I'm gonna have to take that out.
What would be wise if you're putting in new landscaping to pay attention to those rules, right? You want
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah, for sure.
and use drip irrigation.
Right. And that is, the next issue obviously is the drought,
Right.
and how the yards and the landscape, and I'm worried about fire danger from the dead grass.
What I'm worried about is come September that the water restrictions go to no outdoor watering. That would be, I don't know how it would affect a farming operation like mine, but it probably will affect that too. So
Well, you should be on drip.
not for,
This
For
is
all the-
becoming like an.
Okay,
agenda
I'm sorry.
item,
Yes,
you know?
let's get back
It's just
to,
like More than 2 people can talk on something, and
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody else have council comments on issues not on the agenda? Yes, Michael.
Okay. So I've done some more investigation into this aircraft noise. You know, as you know, that our survey, people were complaining about aircraft noise. And I've come to the conclusion it's legitimate. What has happened is in right around 2018, the FAA came up with a plan where all aircraft would be guided into the airport using satellite navigation. And when they did that, what changed was airlines would have their own routes into LAX. And when they got within about 20 miles of LAX, then they'd be guided in by the air traffic control. Now what's happened is they get guided in by satellite about 200 miles from LAX. And what's happened is we basically have an aircraft freeway over Santa Rosa Valley now. They have taken all of the planes coming from the north, from the Middle East, from the Far East, and have put them all on one route, which travels over Moore Park, Santa Rosa Valley, Thousand Oaks, Westlake, and Santa Monica Mountains and Malibu, in a very, very narrow corridor. And so we definitely have an increase in aircraft noise. I did a survey on a weekday from 11 o'clock to noon, and we had a jet flying over Santa Rosa Valley on average every 3 minutes. So it's a concern. This is a lot of communities around the country have had complaints about this. The FAA is very reluctant to change those flight paths, and many communities have had to sue the FAA to get those changes made, including Los Angeles. So Los Angeles just recently won a court battle with the FAA in which they proved that the FAA had not done any environmental studies with the flight paths. And when the FAA refused to change the flight paths over Los Angeles, that's when the city of Los Angeles went to court. There were also a lot of complaints over Lake Arrowhead, and they were able to get that flight path moved just through complaints and then the threat of legal action. So it can be done, but it's not going to be easy. So anyway, so I sent a complaint over to LAX, their noise division, and they sent me kind of a form email back saying, you know, we logged your complaint. They said, yes, we have a lot of complaints from your area, and don't contact us again. It's already logged. So that's about as far as it went. So I'm going to continue looking at this. You know, what can we do? What would be needed as a community to have these flight paths changed? You know, we're only 20 miles from the ocean. Not as if you know, we couldn't, you know, those planes couldn't be routed to an area where, you know, it wasn't disturbing a lot of people. So anyway, that's where I am, you know, with that. Just looking at that issue. If you want to look at the planes flying over the area, there's a website called flightradar24.com, and you can see all of the planes and their paths over Santa Rosa Valley. So it's just the word flight and then radar and then 24.com. And it's pretty interesting. It'll show you the altitude, the speed, what path that plane had was taking, and you can see it, you know, literally you can look up in the sky and look at that website. You say, okay, I see that plane there. So anyway, that's all I've got on that for right now.
But they are coming in at different altitudes?
No, it's all, it's literally satellite controlled. They're always coming in at the same altitude, the same position.
Oh.
And so that's why we're getting so many of them, is they have taken every plane and put it essentially literally right over Santa Rosa Valley. So when they get over Santa Rosa Valley, they're at about 13,000 feet or so.
You know, what's interesting to me anecdotally, being up on the ridge, they seem really high up and I don't hear them. That they're faint, but then our neighbors down below in the valley, they hear it louder. So the acoustics must send the noise into the valley more than it sends it onto the ridge line or something. You're on the ridge too,
Yeah.
Michael, right?
I'm down the hill a little bit. Yeah. It does vary a lot too by the plane. You know, some of these international flights, those are big planes and they're very loud. You know, I can hear them inside the house with all the windows closed.
Wow.
I
You know,
think we
other
all,
ones. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think we all just heard great news from the Camarillo Airport because they had, there was a new report out saying that have decided not to expand and there will not be commercial flights going in there. I think we would have had a much different situation had that happened.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. No, I mean, that was a very good thing that did not go through.
But those people are complaining about corporate jets more and more coming in more frequently. So they still have things to complain about there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so next I'm going to contact the FAA. They have a noise ombudsman. I'm going to check with that person, you know, what really can be done. And, you know, if the, I will say this, if you go outside during the day or even early evening, you can't go outside in Santa Rosa Valley and not hear jets. It's that prevalent right now. And I think what happened was during the pandemic, the number of flights really slowed down. It was very quiet actually in 2020, even 2021, but 2022, I've noticed it seems like it's really ramping up. You know, there's a lot more air travel now. And of course we have every single southbound jet going right over us. So anyway, that's you know, what I've learned so far about this.
Okay. All right, Mark?
I'd like to piggyback on something that came up a little earlier in the meeting, and that seems to be expanding, which is the numbers of residential treatment centers that are going, well, first of all, Santa Rosa Valley, but now I'm hearing there's one over on Reed Road, there's one in Hidden Meadows, there's one apparently on the way in Wildwood Ranch, and there's another one I think up in Priscilla already.
Yes.
And you may know more about this.
There are 4 more in Camarillo.
And then there's more in Camarillo, which it's a little.
And there's one in Moore Park.
Okay, it's a little concerning to me that, you know, we are losing single family homes to these treatments. And unfortunately, the state law is such that there seems to be, where everybody says there's little that you can do about it. But it just doesn't seem, it doesn't sit well with me that people move into a residential area because they want a certain quality of life, and then they have a business running in their residential area, like it or not, with a huge amount of traffic that's there every day with people coming and going and so on and so forth. And I think it's something we should really, you know, talk about because it seems to be getting larger. I don't know, you know, what can be done about it, to be honest with you, but I think, you know, it's concerning to me. And obviously it is to your neighborhood too, Rosemary, because I heard that you had a 3-hour meeting about this the other night.
That's true. And I've done a lot of research on this. And one of the issues is that a residential care facility is now
another agenda item.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You know, these are just supposed to be like one comment, and you know, if it's something of interest, we can delve into it more.
Yeah, I agree, and I would request that this becomes a discussion item on the next MAC meeting, please.
Okay. What I'd like to do is I'd like to send some information to Venice that she can send out to everyone, which is simply information.
Great, do that.
All right, so that everybody has it prior to the next meeting. Okay.
The future agendas. Item.
I'm sorry, what?
I'd added it to future agenda item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we go to public comments on items not on the agenda. And I'm wondering if anybody here would like to make a public comment.
If you would like to make a public comment, just go down to the reactions bar and click your little raise hand.
Yeah, I see Cindy down there. Is that Cindy McCahill?
I don't know, but there's no hand raised yet. So
Okay, because Cindy McCahill did provide a public comment to you. And I'm
but that's
thinking,
the agenda.
I'm sorry, what?
That was
Oh,
for an
okay,
item
you want to
on-
bring that, okay, so you don't want to bring it up now. Okay,
no,
because
on the
it's on the agenda, right? Okay, fine. All right, would anybody else like to make any public comments? Okay, let's get past that. Okay, so now let's go to our action items. 9A, the MAC consideration of a dark sky overlay in Santa Rosa Valley.
I could give you some information.
Perfect.
Okay. So the planning division will be coming to our Board of Supervisors at our meeting on Tuesday to approve what has been made in Malibu, Yerba Buena that Van Vibber spoke about. Went to the Coastal Commission. Coastal Commission made a couple of changes. You guys don't have to worry about the Coastal Commission if you want to do it. But that should be approved on Tuesday. And then our board had put a list together of priorities for dark sky ordinances. And the next, as I understand it, in line would be the area around the naval base. And then if interested, this is something that we could bring forward and ask that you get in line if you all want one. The dark sky ordinance in Santa Monica Mountains had some changes that were made by the Coastal Commission regarding some pretty minor technicalities, but also new sport courts. They were interested in not having lighting on new sport courts. But the bottom line is, as Van pointed out to you, is that it's determined based on what you all want, because we can customize them. So that's basically it. I know we did do a survey once and got back kind of a lukewarm response, and it is another government regulation. So that's something that the MAC has to look at to see if they want to go down that road, particularly if they're going to have objections from the community. The Van did do a really good job of educating the public in his community, which is a very small community, and was able to help them to all, some 70–80% all supporting it. So that was really good. And you know what it's like with the tax that we did for the synchronized lights or the assessment, right? And that involved a lot of community outreach and knocking on doors and things like that. But I think having some leaders in the community out there pursuing it, and that could help get those numbers up. But right now, as you know, it was pretty lukewarm, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you're talking about sports courts, I mean, it seems to me what's becoming very popular is pickleball. And people I'm seeing are building pickleball courts in a lot of areas. What I would like to see is some sort of an ordinance that makes sure that the light is directed downward. Mm-hmm. But I think by telling these people they can't have lighted courts would be a problem.
And that's the Coastal Commission. The county laws that we have like the wildlife corridor one and others are, if no one's there, turn the light off. That's basically it. So you can use your sport court, and yes, the lights have to be downward facing, but you can't just keep these lights on when people aren't there. And that was kind of the point.
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does make sense.
Michael.
Go ahead, Michael.
I did a little bit of research on this. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Santa Rosa Valley is very similar to an area I grew up in, Portola Valley and Woodside. It's on the San Francisco Peninsula. And I thought, I wonder if these two communities have any kind of a dark sky ordinance. And sure enough, they did. They do have dark sky ordinances. The communities are very similar to Santa Rosa Valley in that many of the lots are 1 acre minimum, and then they go up from there. It's also a very exclusive area, especially now that Silicon Valley has really taken off. So looking at their regulations, I looked at it and say, I almost feel like we're kind of behind the times a little bit. These communities have already got it in place and already running. And, it seems like we should be really moving forward and getting with the times on this. And
Which communities in Ventura County have the ordinance already?
Ojai and Santa Rosa and and Malibu, Yerba Buena, and areas that are in the wildlife corridor. I think it might be specific to the critical habitat areas of the wildlife corridor.
And I'd like to comment to Michael. I've always felt Northern California has always been light years ahead of Southern California. That's true across a lot of different things. And so I'm not surprised that they're ahead of us. But what I wanted to ask Linda was, can the ordinance be written such that any new, like existing stuff is grandfathered or something? Have you ever seen them that way? So that way we don't rile up the people, but for people going forward, they got to comply. Does that work?
Yes, that's what they've done, I believe, in Ojai. Van didn't want that in Malibu, Yerba Buena. He wanted it to apply to existing. So there was like a year of opportunity for people to make adjustments.
Mm.
And then it is also on a complaint basis.
Mm.
It's not proactive enforcement. It's only when we get a complaint, would we go out there and let someone know that they need to put a shield on their light or something.
Well, the approach of making it not retroactive, it would encourage people to modify existing stuff if they want to, they become aware of night sky, and, we educate what they could do even if they're not required to do it, right? So that would people in the community
was worried. Actually, it first started in the city of Ojai. They did one. Then the unincorporated area of Ojai, we did it, the county, and that's how that happened. But Van was concerned that if you have it be as to new residents only, it will take 20 years before you notice the effect.
Do we have any HOAs that would be progressive enough to do it within HOA rules? And then that would spread to other HOAs.
Things like the not having lights shining up trees, that one always kind of gets to me, because I learned that doing that keeps all the birds out of the tree. So you're basically making it so they can't have nests. So that to me makes a lot of sense. Plus, it might be beautiful and everything, but you can do that up a wall. But even with this ordinance, you wouldn't be shining up.
Excuse me.
I hate to take more discussion, but when I drive around in my orchard at night, we have night hawks that come in and sit on the ground at like an hour after dusk for a certain number of hours, because it only happens when I drive after the sun's go down, after a half hour's gone by. These night hawks are just like, what the heck are these doing here? But there's no light there, and that's why. Weird.
Interesting. So at any rate, unless there's like this, groundswell of someone taking the lead and saying, we're gonna do this. I think Amy was interested in doing it at one point, but I would just caution not to spend too much energy on something that isn't going to get an overwhelming support. Because the Board of Supervisors is not gonna wanna apply something to angry residents.
All right, well, maybe we should
Well,
postpone this until Amy's here.
I have a public comment.
Yes.
I'm sharing my screen.
You want me to read it?
I
Okay.
have it here.
Okay.
It says, we have lived in the San Rosa Valley for more than 30 years and have watched the changes in our community with both joy and the occasional concern. As time has gone on, we have watched a significant change in the proliferation of non-essential outdoor lighting that has significantly increased the light pollution. The pictures I've included were all taken after 10 p.m. and at various locations within the Rancho. Please note that the sky in the background of the neighborhood photos is not as bright as shown in the pictures. Thank you, iPhone technology. In general, the lights as depicted are either non-essential and or excessively bright. There is significant research that indicates that only wildlife that is impacted by outdoor lighting is skunks, does not deter coyotes, deer, rabbits. The dark sky overlay in Ojai allows for safe and appropriate levels of essential lighting so that residents and visitors may enjoy increased star viewing and decreased sky glow. It would be wonderful to see a shooting star or watch the Perseid meteor shower from my property, which is something that is becoming less and less possible with the increase of decorative outdoor lighting. I appreciate the MAC for the time and attention given to this matter and would be happy to volunteer to move this project forward. Signed, Cindy McCauley, San Rosa Valley resident. I'm going to scroll down so that, why isn't it letting me scroll down?
We didn't see the picture.
Yeah, let me
That's
get
what
this.
she's gonna
Sorry.
scroll down to.
I am gonna scroll down. Where is it? Why did it not?
You could add birds to skunks list, Linda.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit sharing for 1 second.
In the email you sent us, we didn't get the pictures either.
Didn't get them. Oh, you know why? Because I did not have the ability to edit PDFs at the time. I didn't get a new computer. And so everything got all messed up, which is why I've been having issues. So let me quit sharing for a second and there we go. And I'll get that up for you in a second. 1 second.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, you
we'll
can
come back to that when we'll just keep moving forward in the agenda. I'm sorry. I had, yes, Michael?
Going to make a motion or do any sort of motion?
I think that what we should do is hold this over until Amy is back. And I think that we should also provide Amy the information regarding Cindy if they wanted to work together. Michael, did you also want to be part of that group?
Yeah, I would like to be part of that group. And also I wanted to mention, as I recall in the survey, yes, there were, oh, there we are. There were a percentage of people who were against the dark sky, but there were, as I recall, there was even a much larger percentage that say, I don't know. And essentially, I don't know even what dark sky means or is. And so I'll just, they were, they didn't take a stand one way or another. So
Right.
I think it's the educational aspect of it. That,
guys, whose neighborhood is that with the lights?
So in the letter, she says it's the Rancho.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That must be somebody's personal home there.
Yeah, this looks like yeah.
I guess I was thinking it was a HOA. Yeah, because we don't have a tree like that over ours.
And then these lights. I do have the ability to edit my PDF, so I'll send this again out to you.
Okay.
well, I mean, there's no doubt that there are more lights. There's way more lights.
There.
So this is a night shot whole community.
Yeah.
they're, unshielded lights. And
Okay.
and I think the point to make here is that, having a dark sky ordinance not going to reduce people's property values. I mean, the main goal of these is to retain a rural atmosphere. That's what I gained out of reading the materials of those two towns, Portola Valley and Woodside. It was to retain the rural atmosphere. And, we're talking about homes that are, start at $6 million. So, it's not like we're going to scare away, affluent people out of the area because, of a dark sky ordinance. In fact, probably more embrace the area because of the more rural atmosphere that you really can't get in most places.
Right.
So let's put this back on the agenda. Do you all agree? Okay, so we're gonna put this on the agenda next time. Let's go to 9B. Matt, consideration of a temporary rental unit overlay in Santa Rosa Valley to restrict TRUs. And I know we had some people from the county that have told us that they didn't think that we were, Linda, help me say this.
I can just tell you some information about how you go about doing it. There's a couple of different ways, and probably the easiest is to, have the boundary figured out, which would probably be the MAC boundary, right? Have the overlay applied to that, so they don't have to start from scratch on that. Take the ordinance that already is there and amend it to add Santa Rosa Valley, so you don't have to start over in writing things up. I know that
I wholeheartedly want to do this. And I don't know if anybody on this panel is not in favor of it, but I think that this is really important to us.
Yeah, so knowing that it is important to you, and that also understanding too that it is an expense to the county to do it, those are kind of the two things. Private entities can come forward and do a request and pay for it, but here you have to have the board support to do it. Knowing that there is a less expensive path, like I mentioned, having the amendment to the text, having it applied to a specific area. But also, I think to make your case, you want to see how many of these are out there. And I know it's kind of hard to determine, right? You've been told before that you really need to show that there is an issue. And as I understand it, there has been no complaints. There's the sheriff's department needs to have complaints filed. The county needs to have complaints, and you don't have that really happening. Is that right, Denise?
Yeah, I checked with Doug Leeper. He was last week, and he said he had none on file.
I believe on the one on Priscilla, there were complaints.
And then just from a perspective that you know that there are two sides to everything, at least. And in this case, people are making money from being able to do that. And so they're going to want to continue to keep doing that. And that there's a whole industry. So when we had our decision on Ojai and along the beach areas where they have big issues because they have tourists coming, there was hours and hours of testimony, lots of planning commission meetings. It was just it wasn't an easy vote, and it was there were a lot of very unhappy people. There were hundreds of public comments and all of that. So just right now you have one perspective, but there may well be a second perspective when you try doing this that you don't know about. And you need to make a good case in expecting something like that to happen, that you're going to have pushback. And people might have second dwelling units that they're using to, make income so they can stay in their home. Otherwise, they're going to be having to move. Those kind of issues that come forward.
Well, from what I understand, the one that is causing the problem is on a shared driveway. And the people who live on that driveway can't
Yes.
get into their residence at times. And it's honestly being used as a temporary rental unit, but for large events.
And then you
So-
look at is, tens of thousands of dollars needing to be spent by the taxpayers in order to deal with one issue that you have in Santa Rosa Valley. So just telling you, this will not be a slam dunk, because you have to consider the fact that there are those that are going to come out in favor, of being able to keep what they have. And there's some pretty sad luck stories. But it's completely up to you. I'm willing to, move forward and see if the Board of Supervisors has the desire to support something like this.
Well, I would like to make a motion that the MAC ask for the Board of Supervisors' help for us to get a temporary rental unit overlay in Santa Rosa Valley to restrict TRUs. Does anybody want to second my motion?
I have a question first. I mean, we could do it after the motion, but can I ask it now, or do I have to? I just wanted to ask Linda, when you mentioned you get a kickstart because you can take the amendment, are you saying take the Ojai amendment or the Silver Strand amendment and just cookie cutter it for Santa Rosa Valley?
Take the ordinance that's already in the book. Yes. And a text amendment usually is there's already a law out there. I haven't gotten into the detail to see what the law is, but it will say something like, in the Oxnard, in the Ojai unincorporated area, you can't have TRUs. This would say in the Ojai and Santa Rosa Valley area, you can't have TRUs. And whatever is encompassed in Ojai is exactly what you would have here.
So we'd be
Right.
copying the Ojai one.
Right.
For example, Ojai, there's also, as I mentioned, Hollywood Beach, I believe it is, or along the beach. So I haven't looked at the ordinance. Maybe we should start there. Bring you the ordinance if you want to do a text amendment and see if that's something that you want, because it will be less expensive.
The thing is, we're trying to save expense. And I think whatever is in Ojai is going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, Linda, you mentioned somewhat in your discussion that there's a distinction between the TRU, which is a place where people don't live and they rent it out, and you were talking about people who had maybe a second dwelling unit, or that's different within the law, right? We're not looking to stop people from having a bed and breakfast if people want to live, want to rent out a room, because those kind of places do not create the kind of problems that the TRUs create. Am I right?
I think the way the law is written is, you are right that you have to have the owner on the property and present.
Great. All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to say let's request, please, Venice, that all of the board members get a copy of the complete ordinance that's in existence for Ojai, and then let's review that and see whether maybe that's something we want to just say Ojai and Santa Rosa Valley MAC boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
there's
put it on the agenda for next time again. Does that make sense,
So,
people? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table, but has not been seconded. So did
Right.
you want to?
Could you repeat
Take
the
that off.
motion, please, Rosemary?
The motion is that the Santa Rosa Valley MAC ask for the Board of Supervisors to add Santa Rosa Valley to the existing Ojai ordinance, which restricts temporary rental unit overlay in Santa Rosa Valley.
Well, I've got I'm not seconding that, because, at least right now, because do we have a case for this? I mean, if we just say, gee, we'd like to have an overlay in Santa Rosa Valley, and the rest of the supervisors say, well, why do they need an overlay? Ojai, as Supervisor Parks mentioned, did, I think, a lot of homework to get that overlay. And I would hate to see us say, gee, yeah, we would like an overlay, and it gets shot down, and then we basically have no chance of ever getting an overlay. So shouldn't we do some homework in terms of, what issues we've experienced here and make a case for the supervisors saying, here's why we think we need an overlay, and then go and ask them if they would approve such a thing?
Well, I think what Supervisor Parks was saying is that Ojai has already done the homework. And that's why they've had the attorneys come up with the wording. And for us to deviate from that wording, we would need to spend quite a bit of money, which
Well,
we don't have.
yeah,
It does
not-
make a lot of sense to look at what it is that you're asking for before you ask for it. So why don't we bring back, if that, you don't mind me interrupting your motion and all that,
No, I tend to agree. Would you like to amend your motion, Rosemary? to
Okay,
that?
let me amend my motion to, for us
Well,
to be
Let me
provided.
stop you right there, Rosemary, because the way I wrote down your first motion was to request that the Board of Supervisors assist the MAC in getting a temporary rental unit overlay in Santa Rosa Valley. So that's the way I wrote your first motion.
Okay,
It didn't include the Ojai one the first time you said it.
Yeah, I think we're withdrawing that motion and coming up
Right.
with.
So we're gonna
We're
withdraw
gonna
that
cut-
one.
okay, so I think what we're simply going to do is make it an action item for the next meeting and have you send us the current Ojai motion, plus any other requirements that we would need in order to submit this to the Board of Supervisors.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
So the motion was just to move, sorry, let me just get it correctly. The motion was to put this on the next agenda, receive the Ojai ordinance and any requirements for moving this forward
Correct, as an action item.
as an action. Well, yeah, that's the action item.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, okay, so Rosemary moved and who seconded?
Mark did, right?
I seconded it.
Mark in second. Okay, sorry. I'm writing, not looking. So I will do a roll call.
Okay,
Mark Burley,
Aye.
Michael Adams,
Aye.
Kevin Cannon, Chair,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cannon, and Chair Rosemary Allison.
aye.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any written communications?
No,
Okay, are there any other future agenda items that we want to add?
so I have so far the residential treatment center. Rosemary will send some information. The dark sky ordinance, the temporary rental units, with the Ojai ordinance and the additional requirements. I also, next meeting, Jerry Cooper asked us to move have the Santa Rosa Park issue on the September meeting. That's why it wasn't on this one. So I have that one as well.
When you say Santa Rosa Park issue, that's like future
Oh, she's
things to
coming
do with
with
the park.
options.
Say again?
Yeah, options.
Yeah,
yeah.
options for the future of the park. Yeah, okay.
See you all. Bye.
Okay,
Linda.
all right. I do
Bye,
want to
Linda.
ask, when you get this information that's being sent to you, please read it. It is eye-opening regarding the residential care homes. Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Bye.
We can't, are we adjourned? That's it? Bye-bye.
I adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
All right.
Okay.
thanks.
All right.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Back to the hearing.
Thanks.